Hey everyone, welcome back to HO Chronicles. Today's episode brings you another unbelievable story straight from the world of homeowner associations. In this one, an HOA actually tried to put a lien on my gun range, claiming I had violated their bylaws. The funny part, my range wasn't even within their jurisdiction. They tried to destroy my reputation, but what they didn't know was that I owned nearly half the homes in their own neighborhood. Let's get right into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to HO Chronicles, where we dive deep into real homeowner association stories that will leave you speechless. Today's story is about how an HOA tried to put a lien on my private gun range, claiming I violated their bylaws. The twist? My gun range wasn't even under their jurisdiction. And what they didn't know was that I owned almost half the homes in their own community. So grab a coffee and let's jump into this one. Story one, the HOA that picked a fight with the wrong landlord. Let me start by saying, I never wanted to be a landlord. When my uncle passed away, I inherited 18 houses, all located inside a suburban development I'll call Karen Estates for privacy. Yes, I know it sounds lucky, but it came with headaches too. My uncle had purchased those homes as long-term investments, and suddenly, managing them became my full-time responsibility. But the property I truly cared about wasn't inside the neighborhood. It was my outdoor gun range, built legally on a 40-acre plot just outside the community line. It was my passion project, properly licensed, fully fenced, equipped with top-tier backstops, and run as a private shooting club. We had strict safety rules, limited hours, and not a single complaint from anyone who mattered. The nearest house was half a mile away, and the HOA boundary stopped about 200 yards short of my property line. That's why I was stunned when I got a letter from the HOA one Tuesday morning. At first, I assumed it was about one of my rental homes. Well, when I opened it, I saw something that made no sense. The letter stated that the HOA had filed a lien against my gun range property for failing to comply with community appearance and maintenance standards. I reread it 3 times. According to them, all properties within HOA jurisdiction, including commercial ones, had to meet their rules. They accused me of noise pollution, visual blight, and of not submitting architectural review paperwork. They demanded I bring the range into compliance or cease operations, and they'd already added $15,000 in fines. Naturally, I called my lawyer, Elliot, who had handled my uncle's estate before. After I explained everything, she asked for a copy of the letter and the property documents. 2 hours later, she called back, clearly amused. They don't have a single legal leg to stand on, she said. Your gun range sits completely outside their boundaries. I've checked the plat maps myself. You're not even close. So, what should I do? I asked. I'll send them a letter explaining the law. This lien is invalid. Once they realize their mistake, they'll drop it. I felt relieved for about a day. Then the phone rang. It was the HOA president. Let's call him Mr. President, he said in a firm, arrogant voice. We don't care what your lawyer says. Your gun range is a nuisance and hurts our property values. You'll comply with HOA rules, or we'll make your life miserable. I replied calmly, my range isn't even on your property. You're splitting hairs, he said. We represent this community, and your little gun range is a problem. Either follow our standards or face the consequences. Something about his tone flipped a switch in me. The man sounded untouchable, like his position gave him power over everyone. And then I remembered something I'd nearly forgotten since inheriting those homes. I owned 18 rental properties inside Karen Estates, every one of them fully under HOA jurisdiction. I thanked Mr. President for his time and hung up. Then I called Elliot. Hey, Elliot, how do you feel about having a little fun? She laughed. Oh, I'm in. Over the next week, Elliot and I went line by line through the HOA's covenants, conditions, and restrictions, basically their rulebook. It was a masterpiece of overregulation. Every small exterior change, paint, roof repair, landscaping, mailbox style, light fixtures, required written approval from the Architectural Review Committee (ARC). Here's the fun part. The ARC had 30 days to respond to an application. If they didn't reply in time, the application was automatically approved. There was no limit to how many applications a property owner could submit, and there were no fees for submitting them. You can probably see where this is going. So I got to work. That weekend, I drove around Karen Estates taking hundreds of pictures. Every light fixture, mailbox, door, fence, and window on all 18 homes. Then I started filing applications. On Monday morning, I submitted 15 separate applications. Small things like repainting a mailbox, replacing 3 shingles, changing a porch light fixture, and planting new shrubs. Each form was detailed, complete with photos, product samples, and manufacturer details. I wasn't cutting corners. Everything was fully compliant. The ARC consisted of 3 volunteers. Mr. President, the same guy, a retired teacher who genuinely cared about aesthetics, and a reluctant volunteer who clearly didn't want to be there. A week went by, no response. So I filed 15 more applications, different houses, new details, everyone legitimate. That's when Mr. President called again. "What are you doing?" he asked sharply. "Maintaining my properties." I replied, "You said everything must meet HOA standards. I'm just following the rules. You submitted 30 applications in 2 weeks." "Well," I said, "there's no rule against it. The covenants don't mention a limit. I'm just trying to be compliant." There was a long pause. "This is harassment," he said. "No," I replied. "This is compliance." He hung up. So I filed 20 more the next day. Soon I was applying to repaint garage doors, change mulch color, even install house numbers in a new font, all within their rules. By the end of the month, I'd filed 67 applications. The ARC managed to respond to only 15. The rest got auto-approved. Other homeowners noticed. Seeing my approvals online, they started resubmitting their own rejected requests: solar panels, new doors, home additions. The HOA's review committee was drowning. 6 weeks in, the president called again, frustrated. "You need to stop this." "Stop what?" "You know what you're doing. Overwhelming the committee." "I'm maintaining my properties. If you're overwhelmed, maybe expand the committee. We're going to start charging application fees," he threatened. That's when I smiled. Actually, Section 7, Subsection 3 of your own covenant says there can be no fees. Would you like me to quote it? Silence. "Then we'll amend the rules." "Good luck. You'll need 75% of homeowners to approve that change." He hung up again, but his threat gave me an idea. If he wanted hardball, I'd play it. I filed 18 new applications, one for each house, requesting to repaint them range target orange. That's right, a bright fluorescent orange, technically allowed under the HOA's approved color palette. Within an hour, my phone rang. "You cannot paint those houses orange," he shouted. "Why not?" "Show me where that color is prohibited. It's hideous. It'll ruin property values." "Then the committee should issue written denials. You've got 30 days. "This is extortion." "No," I replied. "This is compliance." Finally, he snapped. "What do you want?" "I want written proof that my gun range is outside HOA jurisdiction, that your lien is invalid, and I want it removed from public record, along with a written apology. And if we do that, then I'll withdraw every pending application." He agreed, but Elliot wasn't done digging. She discovered that the HOA had been illegally charging $50 processing fees for years, despite the covenants forbidding it, around $40,000 in total. So after receiving the letter confirming my range was outside their control, Elliot filed a formal complaint demanding full refunds for every homeowner. When the HOA denied it, she filed a class action lawsuit. The insurance company quickly realized the HOA had no defense. Eventually, they settled, agreeing to refund all fees plus interest, totaling $42,000, and pay attorney costs. Homeowners were thrilled. The board wasn't. Next election, the entire HOA board, including Mr. President, was voted out. The new leadership was younger, fair, and transparent. They simplified the review process, removed unnecessary rules, and even apologized to me personally. My gun range still running perfectly. The Lien gone from public record. And yes, I kept those orange paint samples in a drawer as a reminder, because sometimes the best way to deal with power-hungry people is to let them drown in their own rules.